He swore I was his one and only, but his credit card statements told a different story. Flowers I never received, dinners I never ate, hotel stays I never knew about. That night, I set the statements on the table and asked, "Do you love me?" He took my hands, looked me in the eyes, and said, "More than anything." I pulled away and whispered, "Then why are you paying for her too?" His eyes darted to the papers, and that's when he knew the numbers had exposed him. I never imagined I'd find myself sharing this story, but here I am, hoping that by putting it into words, I might find some clarity and perhaps help someone else avoid the pain I'm experiencing. I've been married to Mark for 12 years. We live in Chicago, Illinois, and for the most part, I believed we had a solid marriage. Mark works as a financial analyst downtown, and I run a small but successful bakery in our neighborhood. We were a team, or so I thought. About 6 months ago, things started to change. Mark began working late more often, citing increased responsibilities at work. At first, I didn't think much of it. His job had always been demanding, and I wanted to be supportive. But as the weeks went by, I noticed other changes. He became more distant, less affectionate, and often seemed lost in thought. Our conversations became superficial, and the intimacy we once shared dwindled. One evening, as I was tidying up the living room, I found Mark's credit card statements on the coffee table. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take a look. What I found left me reeling. There were charges from upscale restaurants like Alinea and Everest, places we had always talked about visiting together but never did. There were purchases from luxury boutiques on Michigan Avenue for items I never received. But what struck me the most were the charges for hotel stays at the Four Seasons and the Peninsula. My heart pounded as I tried to make sense of it all. These weren't our expenses. We hadn't dined at these restaurants, shopped at these stores, or stayed at these hotels. The realization hit me like a freight train. Mark was spending money on someone else. I spent the next few days in a daze, oscillating between denial and anger. I needed concrete proof before confronting him. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I started investigating. I checked our joint bank accounts, his emails, and even his phone when he left it unattended. The more I dug, the more evidence I found. There were messages from a woman named Laura, explicit in nature, detailing their rendezvous and plans. She worked with him, someone he had mentioned in passing but never in detail. Armed with this information, I decided it was time to confront Mark. I waited until Friday evening, knowing he'd be home early. I laid out the credit card statements on the dining table, along with printed copies of the emails and messages. When he walked in, he looked surprised to see me waiting. "Sarah? What's all this?" he asked, his eyes darting to the papers on the table. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. "Do you love me, Mark?" "More than anything," he replied without hesitation. I pulled away, my voice barely a whisper. "Then why are you paying for her too?" His face went pale as he glanced at the evidence before him. The room was thick with silence, the weight of his betrayal hanging heavily between us. What followed was a blur of tears, shouting, and painful revelations. Mark admitted to the affair, claiming it had started during a particularly stressful period at work. He said he never meant for it to happen, that it was a mistake. But his words felt hollow, incapable of mending the chasm that had formed between us. I couldn't fathom continuing our marriage after such a betrayal. The trust we had built over the years was shattered. I filed for divorce shortly after. The process was grueling, both emotionally and financially. Dividing our assets, explaining to friends and family, and coming to terms with the end of a significant chapter in my life was overwhelming. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. I poured my energy into the bakery, expanding the business and finding solace in my work. I sought therapy, which helped me navigate the tumultuous emotions and begin the process of rebuilding my life. Reflecting on everything, I realized how crucial it is to be vigilant and aware in a relationship. While trust is fundamental, it's also essential to recognize the signs when something feels off. Financial infidelity can be just as devastating as emotional betrayal. I never imagined I'd be in this position, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. I didn't sleep that night after the confrontation. Mark stayed in the guest room. I could hear him pacing. I didn't care. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was the hotel receipts. Her name in his texts. Her name in his mouth. Laura. It made me sick. I thought it would be easy to walk away, but it wasn't. The next day, Mark tried to talk. I ended it, he said, sitting on the edge of the couch like a child in trouble. It's over. It's been over for weeks. I stared at him. Before or after the peninsula? He flinched. That was the last time. I laughed. It wasn't a real laugh. It came out dry and cracked. So while I was home baking for your mother's birthday, you were checking into a suite with your coworker? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I packed a bag and stayed with my sister for a while. She lives in Naperville. She didn't ask questions. Just poured me a glass of wine, handed me a blanket, and let me cry. But things didn't get easier. 2 weeks after I left, I got a call. From Laura. I didn't recognize the number, but I picked up. I was in my car outside Trader Joe's. Hi, she said. I'm sorry for calling, but I need to talk to you. I was frozen. Who is this? It's Laura. I need to tell you something. Please. I should have hung up. I should have told her to go to hell. But I didn't. Maybe I wanted answers. Say it, I snapped. She hesitated. I didn't know you were still together. Mark told me you were separated. He said you were filing for divorce and just waiting to sort things out with the house. I clenched my jaw. I remembered the week he took me out for pizza and said he wanted to reconnect. The same week he apparently told Laura we were done. He lied to you, I said. I know that now, she whispered. And there's more. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel like it could anchor me. I'm pregnant. The words hit me like a brick. I couldn't breathe. My vision went blurry. She kept talking. I found out 2 days ago. He says it's not the right time. He wants me to take care of it. I felt like I was watching someone else's life. This couldn't be mine. Don't call me again, I said and hung up. I sat in that parking lot for over an hour. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was numb. Mark came by my sister's house that night. I didn't tell her who it was. I met him outside. You talked to her, he said. You got her pregnant, I replied. He rubbed his face. I didn't plan this. She said she was on birth control. That's convenient. I don't want this, Sarah. I don't want her. I don't want the baby. I want you. You had me. You didn't want me then. He stepped closer. I stepped back. I don't even know if it's mine, he added quickly, like that would make it better. I stared at him. It doesn't matter. You gave yourself to someone else. You gave her the parts of you that were supposed to be mine. And then he snapped. His calm face cracked. You don't know what it's like, he shouted. You're always so perfect. So together. You never needed me. I felt invisible. I laughed again, bitter. So you slept your way to attention? He didn't say anything. I went inside. I locked the door. I slid down the wall and sat on the cold tile. My sister came and sat next to me without a word. A week later, I found out Mark's company was under investigation. Fraud. Misuse of funds. I got a call from a mutual friend. Apparently, someone from HR had filed a complaint. Mark wasn't just cheating on me. He was using his company card for the hotel stays. And dinners. And guess what? He'd done this before. 2 years before me. Different woman. Same story. Different city. I was never his one and only. I was just next. A few days after hearing about the fraud investigation, things got worse. Much worse. I was in the bakery, wiping down tables before closing, when 2 men in dark suits walked in. They weren't customers. Sarah, right? The taller one asked. Sarah Delaney? Yes, I said, heart skipping. Can I help you? They flashed badges. FBI. We'd like to ask you a few questions about your husband, Mark Delaney. I sat down hard. They didn't want coffee. They wanted to know what I knew about Mark's financial activity. Offshore accounts. Wire transfers. A fake consulting firm he'd been moving money through. My name was on some of the paperwork. I didn't sign anything, I said, voice shaking. One of them, Agent Reynolds, looked at me kindly. We believe he forged your signature on at least 4 documents. I wanted to scream. I gave them what I could, bank account names, timelines, passwords I remembered. They told me Mark was being watched, that he might be arrested soon. I felt like I was in a Netflix show. This was too much. I went home that night, not to my sister's, but back to the house. I needed to see it. I needed to feel grounded. That's when I noticed the envelope on the kitchen counter. No stamp. Just my name on the front. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Mark and Laura. In the hotel lobby. On the beach in Lake Geneva. Holding hands. Kissing. One of them was from inside what looked like our bedroom. I dropped the envelope. My legs gave out. Who left them? My first thought was Laura. But why now? Why like this? I checked the outside camera. The footage showed someone in a hoodie, tall, slim, moved like they were in a hurry. Not Laura. Not anyone I recognized. That same night, I got a blocked call. A man's voice. Calm. Low. He did this to my sister too. Who is this? I asked. Click. I didn't sleep at all. The next day, I went back to the bakery. Around noon, Laura showed up. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked different. Older. Tired. She asked if we could talk. I hesitated but said yes. We sat in the back room, and she pulled out her phone. I need to show you something, she said. She scrolled to a video. It was Mark. In what looked like a hotel room. Talking to someone off camera. Bragging. I've done this before, he said, smirking. You find someone successful but emotionally stretched thin. Make them feel seen. Get in close. Use what you need. Then walk. My stomach turned. He used me, she said, voice hollow. He said he loved me. He said he'd leave you. I nodded. He said he'd never leave me. She looked up. There's more. She showed me a bank account. Under a fake business name. Over $300,000 in deposits over the last 2 years. He said it was startup money. That we were building something. He told me we couldn't afford a second honeymoon, I said, almost laughing. He told me we had to refinance the house. We sat in silence. Then she said it. I'm not keeping the baby. I didn't respond. I'm going to the police, she said. I have to. I can't be part of this anymore. I nodded slowly. 2 days later, Mark was arrested at his office. The charges were massive: fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. He tried to call me from Cook County Jail. I declined the call. Later that night, I checked my voicemail. It was from the blocked number again. The same calm voice. I told you. He did it to my sister. She didn't survive it. She lost everything. Be careful, Sarah. You still have more to find. And he hung up. I found the rest of the truth on a cold, gray Wednesday, fitting, really, for what was about to happen. It started with a voicemail. Not from Mark. Not from the mystery man who'd called me twice before. It was from Diane, Mark's boss's wife. Sarah, I hope I'm not overstepping, she said gently, but I found something you need to see. It's about Mark. About his time in New York. Can you meet me? New York. He used to travel there once a month for client strategy meetings. I used to send him off with packed snacks for the flight. We met at a quiet cafe near the lake. She was nervous, hands shaking as she passed me a small USB drive. I found it on a shared drive at his old firm, she said. My husband's cleaning up files. This was buried deep. I took it home and plugged it into my laptop. There were folders, contracts, fake business licenses, more proof of his financial web. But there was also a video. 1 hour long. Hidden inside a folder labeled, "For My Eyes Only." It was Mark. Sitting in a hotel suite. Recording himself. Sarah will never know, he said, grinning into the camera. She's too busy kneading dough and playing perfect housewife. Honestly, I don't even feel bad. She's just too easy. I sat frozen. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the laptop. I just listened. He kept talking. I've got money in 5 places. Cayman. Switzerland. One under her name, in case I need a fall guy. She'd never know. My stomach dropped. I knew then I wasn't just cheated on. I was used. I was a financial shield. He put things in my name because he thought I'd never look. Because I was too trusting. The next day, I went straight to the authorities. I gave them the video, the documents, everything Diane had found. I sat through hours of interviews with the FBI, explaining what I did and didn't know. They told me the Cayman account under my name had over $200,000 in it. Dirty money. But I was technically liable until proven otherwise. I had to get a lawyer. A good one. Cost me most of my savings. I started going gray overnight. The final confrontation came in court. During a hearing where I had to testify, Mark was brought in wearing a jumpsuit. Shackled. Still smug. He tried to smile at me. I didn't blink. His lawyer tried to paint him as someone who acted out of desperation and was manipulated by high-pressure corporate culture. I stood, took the stand, and told the truth. How he lied. How he forged. How he used me. How he got a woman pregnant, then tried to bury it, just like he buried everything else. When I got down, I saw Laura sitting in the back. Alone. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. She nodded at me. A silent apology. A silent thank you. After the hearing, Mark finally cracked. As the judge stepped out, he stood up suddenly. "You don't get to play the victim," he shouted at me, voice echoing in the courtroom. "You loved being the martyr. You wanted someone to save." The bailiffs pulled him back, cuffed hands flailing. "You wanted a perfect husband, not a real one." The room went dead silent. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. The fallout was messy. I was cleared of legal wrongdoing, but my credit took a hit. I had to fight to untangle myself from every account, every form. It took months. People in the neighborhood found out. Some judged. Some gossiped. But others brought cookies, cards, quiet hugs in the bakery. Laura left the city. She texted once to say she moved to Seattle. Said she's trying to start over. Mark got sentenced to 12 years. He sends letters from prison. I don't read them. My sister framed a quote and hung it in my kitchen. It says, "Some people are lessons. Others are warnings." Mark was both. Now, the bakery is busier than ever. I hired 2 new staff. I go to therapy once a week. I walk by the lake every morning, coffee in hand, trying to believe I'm still whole. Do I regret loving him? Sometimes. But mostly, I regret not seeing myself sooner. I was worth more than scraps. More than hotel lies and shared dinners with strangers. I'm not healed. Not completely. But I'm standing. And that's enough for now.